If you've already booked your first Carnival cruise or you're still in the research process, today we're going over 18 tips that'll help you as a first-time Carnival cruiser. The first tip is to book the cabin that you want. So there are a lot of cabin options and some people just choose the cheapest or they just choose an ocean view and they think that they're gonna get upgraded to a balcony offer later, but you just never know when you're gonna get offered an upgrade, and sometimes the upgrades aren't really that good. So you should always book the cabin that you want in the first place. So if you're sure you want a balcony, just go ahead and book it. If you want an ocean view, book it. Don't book an inside cabin thinking they're gonna offer you an ocean view upgrade, because they may not. Because when it comes to upgrade offers, when they call you and ask you to upgrade, they're calling multiple people to fill those rooms. And so if you don't answer right away and book it, they will give that room to someone else. So just book the cabin that you initially want. I would say if you want an ocean view, just know that the ocean view cabins are on the lower decks, like deck 2, 3, and maybe even deck 1. So you're gonna be at sea level, and so if that's something that you're worried about, do not book an ocean view cabin. You might as well just book an inside or balcony cabin if you want to be higher on the ship. If you want to know more about the different types of cabins, then you can check out this video that is above. That way you can just figure out what type of cabin you would like, for your first sailing. The second tip is to make sure you check in online the day they allow it, which is normally 14 days prior to your sailing, and that is at midnight Eastern time. So if you're in California, you should make sure you check in, and it should be 9 p.m. your time, and it's really Eastern time for Carnival. The benefit of checking in exactly at that time is you're able to choose that boarding time that you're able to get on the ship. So if you want an early boarding time, like 12:30, maybe even a little bit earlier, make sure you're online a few minutes before midnight Eastern time on your check-in date to secure the best boarding time. The third tip is to prepay your gratuities. I know it may sound weird to prepay before you're even on the ship and before you even have any service, but they're gonna add it on anyways that day before your sailing is over. And so you might as well just pay for it earlier. That way you don't have to worry about it, because it can be $100, $200, $300 depending on how many nights your cruise is, and of course depending on how many people is in your cabin. So I would just say add it on when you initially book, and if you don't add it on initially, then add it on before your final payment deadline. That way your cruise is paid in full, except for any shore excursions that you may add on or any souvenirs that you may buy. That will just add on, because I've done that before in the past. I used to prepay gratuities, and then one cruise I didn't add it until afterwards, and so obviously I was stuck with an additional cost on top of what I already spent on board. So to just not worry about that, just prepay them ahead of time. The fourth tip is for when you are on board the ship, the first thing you should do just to get it over with is to go to your muster drill. So your muster drill is the safety demonstration that everyone must complete prior to the ship sailing away. And so they're gonna have directions based on your sailing side card. Is gonna show where your muster station is, and it's just gonna be very helpful just in case of an emergency where your muster station is. But you just have to finish that before the ship sails away. So don't go grab food, don't go get in the pool and jacuzzi. Go to your muster drill and then grab some food and start enjoying your cruise. Tip number 5 for first-time cruisers with Carnival: do not use a debit card while you're in port. You should bring either a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees, or just bring cash. And I recommend bringing small bills just in case the local vendors don't have change. They're gonna probably try to add on something from their shop so you can pay more. So you should just bring like 5s, $1 bills, maybe 10s, but not like 50 or $100 bills, because they may not have change for you. Tip number 6, pack enough clothes. I always recommend having a daytime and a nighttime outfit. So if you're on a 5-day cruise, then have 10 outfits. If you're on a 7-day cruise, then have 14 outfits. Now that may seem like a lot for some people, but to me, if you're gonna be out on the port and you're doing something adventurous, or you've been in a swimsuit, obviously you're not gonna wear that later just because you may have been sweaty, or it's not as comfortable, because the daytime may have different weather as well as different adventures that you may be doing. And then nighttime, of course, you wanna just dress up a little bit more. And even if it's a casual night, you don't wanna be in the same clothes you've been wearing all day long. So I always recommend 2 outfits per day. Some people even have 3 outfit changes based on whatever they're doing. So I would say pack enough clothes. Tip number 7, don't forget your tumbler and your lanyard with your sailing sign card. So for the tumbler, I recommend it just so that you don't have to keep on going to the Lido deck or the drink stations to grab some water or some soda. If you have the bubbles package, you can just refill your cup that you brought on board. That way you have more of it, and obviously it stays cool when you're on the ship and in the port. And for your lanyard, I recommend it, especially for first-time cruisers, to get a lanyard. They do sell them at the shops on the ship, but you can just put your sell inside card in there, and maybe even a $1 bill or two if you need it, just so that you can easily access it to either swipe in your room, swipe at the casino. It's just easy to have it on your neck, compared to putting it in your purse, especially if you're switching purses and bags every now and then. Tip number 8, the Wi-Fi package is per device. So if you're used to obviously having your phone, your laptop, multiple devices, your Wi-Fi package is only for one device each. So just keep that in mind, that you're not able to just log into everything all at once. It's like per sailor too. So you would have to log out if you want the other person to, use their phone with your Wi-Fi, and it just makes it complicated. So just know that the Wi-Fi package is per device. And then of course there's the different options for, what you're able to access on board. And so just really review that. I personally say, to me, it's not worth it unless you have to use the internet. I always like to be unplugged and maybe use the internet for 24 hours or maybe 2 days. If I'm on a 7-day cruise, but there have been cruises where I didn't use the Wi-Fi at all. So just know that it's not just, Wi-Fi unlimited for everyone in your room. It is per device. Tip number 9, how much cash should you bring, or how much should you allocate for your trip? Now, obviously this can vary based on the person, but I would say individually, you should maybe have $50 to $100 per day. So if you're doing a 5-day sailing, that's $300 to $500. If you're doing a 7-day sailing, that could be $350 to $700. So obviously that can range, you may not even spend that much, but just as a safety net, just have that money, because you're gonna want to spend while you're in port, whether that's at local vendors or eating at the certain destination. So just budget how much you're gonna have. I would always recommend at least $50 per day, especially because you may shop on the ship and of course off the ship as well. I always recommend joining the Facebook group for your particular sailing. One, to build community if you haven't sailed before, or you're not traveling with anyone, or you're not traveling with a large group and you want to maybe make some friends from all over the world or all over the country. The Facebook group will definitely help with that, because people have different meetups, different events that they'll have, that is kind of initiated through the Facebook group for your particular sailing. Tip number 11, buy travel insurance. You truly never know what's going to happen, whether it's weather delays or if it can be sickness. You definitely want to have travel insurance just in case something happens, so that you don't have to come out of pocket or pay a large amount of money compared to if you have that travel insurance for your trip. The next tip is to pre-purchase everything, and that goes from shore excursions to specialty dining. You definitely want to pre-purchase those. That way you're not waiting until you're on board and everyone else is trying to, and things obviously will sell out before you get to the ship. And also while you're on board the first day, a lot of people are at guest services trying to book things, the shore excursions desk, and it just takes way longer when you're at guest services or you're at the shore excursions desk than to book it ahead of time, online on the website before you even get on board. Tip number 13 is to take a lot of pictures. I always say take a lot of pictures, because if you only take a few and you may not like any of them, so then you don't even have a lot of options and you don't even come home with any pictures, versus taking a lot, like when you're going to dinner or when you're getting off the ship and they have those photographers there at each port. That way towards the end of the cruise, you have a lot of options to choose from, versus just having 1 or 2 that you don't even like. You don't have to stop at every backdrop that you see that they set up for dinner, but just maybe, maybe one picture in the daytime, one picture in the evening time. That way you just have a variety of pictures to choose from when you do want to purchase them towards the end of the cruise. I did go over this in my other video, but make sure you turn your phone on airplane mode and you go on the cellular data part and make sure you turn roaming off. And this goes for you even if you buy the Wi-Fi package. You should still turn your phone on airplane mode and turn cellular roaming off. That way you don't have to worry about getting no crazy bill from your internet carrier about you using your data in the middle of the ocean. Tip number 15, don't double tip at the bar. It's already a tip on your receipt. If you look at your receipt, it's already gonna show a tip. So I wouldn't tip them extra unless they do above and beyond your expectations. They're amazing. They're suggesting a whole bunch of different drinks, and they're just, helping you out a lot, because their tip is already added. So just keep that in mind when you're at the bar or getting a drink, that they already added the tip. So you don't have to worry about adding another it's already included. Tip number 16 is to only get the drink package if you're at least gonna drink 10 drinks a day. The maximum is 15, but if you're not even gonna drink 10 drinks, you do not need the cheers package. And keep in mind that the drink package must be bought by every adult that is 21 and over in your cabin. So if I buy one, but my mom doesn't buy one, it's kind of not gonna happen. Like, they're gonna add it on immediately. Like, you both need to have it so that you guys can't necessarily share drinks. Like, she has to drink her own, I have to drink my own. So keep that in mind. If you don't think you're at least gonna drink 10 drinks a day, and the person that you're in the cabin with isn't gonna drink at least 10 drinks a day, then go ahead and just buy the drinks individually compared to buying the cheers package. Tip number 17, try all the food options on board if you can. I do not recommend just going to the Lido buffet and eating that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. One, because that's not the best food there. I personally don't like the buffet. So you're not even gonna find me in the Lido deck unless I have to get something, like maybe some gelato, or maybe I'm just starving and I just really need something right now. But other than that, go to Guy's Burger Joint, go to Blue Iguana Cantina, go to one of the specialty dining options. Eat in the dining room each night if you can. If you're on one of the newer ships, you have to try Emerald's Bistro. I love Emerald's Bistro. It's my favorite place on the newer ships. It's the best. But definitely try all the food options on board. You can try Chibang if you're on one of the newer ships, the Italian restaurant, you know, so just try all the options. Do not stay in that Lido deck and eat the buffet for every single meal. Now, it's an option because they do have different things in there, but do not just eat only there in Guy's Burger Joint. Like, you need to be up in the main dining room and trying other food. And tip number 18 is to avoid making changes or canceling your cruise just because there are gonna be some fees incurred, such as any change fees, any admin fees. They do charge fees, so you shouldn't, you know, just start booking stuff and paying the deposits and hoping, okay, I can just change it later. You technically can, but you're gonna end up paying for those changes, because I've done it where I changed my ship from one to the other. I was on the Venezia and then I changed it to the Mardi Gras and I was charged, I believe, $99 for the change. So keep that in mind. Changes do cost on Carnival. I hope this video was helpful as you navigate sailing on your first Carnival cruise. I also have a video on what is included in the cost of your Carnival cruise, as well as 2 videos of what is not included in the cost of your Carnival cruise. So you can definitely check those out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.